Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. I am in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which means I am home. I haven't done a video in a long time because there was nothing actually that I wanted to talk about. But the past week, things have happened and I would like to discuss these things. Now, let me put a disclaimer out there. I am not an expert in the topic that I'm going to talk about. I am merely going to talk about it by applying critical thinking as a lay person, meaning as someone who is just living in the world, just living her best life, but who will be affected by this thing that is happening at the moment. So I'll be talking about my opinion on what is happening, on why it is happening, on what I've researched about it, and I will be applying critical thinking to my opinion. Okay? So it doesn't matter whether my opinion is right or wrong or whatever. It is simply an opinion. Okay? Right. So what I want to talk about, for those who don't know me, I am a South African citizen, which means I have a green passport, which is the property of the South African government. I have no other citizenship from any other country and have no interest in becoming a citizen of any other country. I have zero interest. I do not live in South Africa though. I live in Malaysia. And the only reason for that is because I married a Malaysian and he doesn't want to move to South Africa. That's all. And again, if you don't know me, marriage is a partnership. I believe it's a partnership. And if we are partners, we need to stay together. So that is why I'm here. Of course, I would love to be able to live 6 months in South Africa and then 5 months somewhere else, travel the world, and 1 month in Malaysia. But it's not a decision I can make on my own. Okay, so let me start talking too much, right? So this is about the South African Expropriation Act and what Donald J. Trump had to say about funding for South Africa. So this is what he said. He said, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. A massive human rights violation, at a minimum, is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of this situation has been completed. So that's what he said. So I'm going to break it down as much as I can so that I can understand it, and then I will apply, like I said, critical thinking to form my opinion. So he says, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. So I am assuming he's talking about the Expropriation Act, because there has been this buzz that land has been taken away from a certain class of people, even as he says it's here, taken away from them with no compensation. Now, from what I have been reading and the research I have been doing about it, and this is not educational, so I'm not putting all the citations here and my sources here. You can go and search for it yourself. This is not really true. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. This is just what I've been finding, that this is not really factual. Land is not being confiscated. Okay? And the treatment of certain classes of people very badly. So these certain classes of people that he is referring to, and according to what has been told about this, that is that these certain class of people are actually farmers, and specifically white South African Afrikaner farmers. So it has been said that South Africa under this act will take their land away from them. So in like stealing their land. Okay? So that's what that means. Okay? So, and then it goes on. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. Which I think is true, because I've not seen a lot of coverage about this. I've seen a little bit, but not like serious, like a lot. I've seen in like on Reddit and like on social media, but then again, these are just people, and it could be bots and trolls, and so I don't know. But anyway, so he's right there, okay? He says it is a massive human rights violation at a minimum, and is happening for all to see. Okay, so yes, if this is happening, it is a human rights violation, and it's happening for all to see. Well, I don't know, because not many people have seen it, so it can't be right. Okay, anyway, then the next part. Okay, so let me first address that part. So this will be my opinion about this. So I know that there was talk about land being taken away from white farmers, a certain class of people. And when he says class, that does not mean race or ethnicity or a class. He is right, because in South Africa, fun fact, white farmers are the one in the 1% bracket, okay? They are usually very wealthy because they have generational wealth. Okay, the other thing is, a lot of them, the land that they have, they did not come from, because all the white people come from Europe, from a different country. They're not indigenous. So they came to South Africa, and then under the apartheid system, this land was taken from the indigenous people and given to them. Not sold to them, nothing, just taken from one group of people and given to them. Of course, over generations, they've cultivated the land, they've made it prosperous, they've supported the country by supplying food and agriculture for the citizens. So basically, it's a bit difficult to talk about confiscating land from people who actually stole the land from somebody else. So that's why, in my opinion, it's not as black and white as it seems to be. So it's a bit, they'll have to go case by case. It will be a case by case situation. If it's true that they're confiscating the land. So if they are not, if the government is simply taking land away from people who actually own the land, that's not right. It's a human rights violation because you can't do that. But then if it's land that did not belong to them to start off with, that was given to them by a government that we know was committing the most heinous human rights violations, then I don't know, how does that work? Okay, you figure it out for yourself. But then also in saying this, the actual Expropriation Act, because I went through a little bit of it because I'm not a lawyer, it's very complicated. It's like a study on its own. They do go case by case on how land is taken from people, whether there's compensation, whether there's no compensation. And it looks like they are targeting white Afrikaners because in South Africa, the majority of farmland is owned by white Afrikaners. Because, like I said before, because they were given the land. No land was given to non-white people. Okay? So we have to factor that in as well when we're looking at this. But also, in saying all of this, I also feel that when Trump says here, there should be a full investigation concerning this. I totally agree with that. There should be a full investigation because, number one, given that our government is quite corrupt, I do believe that there are situations when they are taking the land, whether it be legitimately or not, that they are not giving this land to the people. They are not using it in a way that will benefit the people. They pocket the money. They line their pockets with that money. So there's corruption there. I am sure of that. So that is why, although I feel the confiscation and all that part could be not that true, I do agree that I'm sure there is corruption involved, which is not right. And that is a human violation, but the human violation would not be against the Afrikaners, it would be against the other people in South Africa who are being shortchanged because the government is pocketing the money and not using it to benefit the people. Okay, I hope I'm speaking clearly there about that. That's my opinion. Now, that's just an opinion. It's not a fact. It's just how I feel about this situation. Okay? Right. So, like I said, I'm all for investigation. Right. So the second part of this, Trump says the United States won't stand for it. We will act. Okay, now, I'm thankful that the United States is highlighting this because this is now putting our government in a position where they have to investigate and they have to be transparent because there's pressure from outside. But on the other hand, I also don't like outside countries, foreign countries, especially not the USA, to interfere in our internal issues. So again, my opinion, okay? I'm two-sided about this, again, because I'm applying critical thinking. Yes, it's good that the issue is being highlighted and that there's pressure from outside, but it's also not good because we don't want interference from an outside country. So see, I can have two opinions. I can hold two opinions at the same time, right? Then we will act, they say. Again, Two opinions. We will act good. We will act not good. We will act good because, again, pressure on our government. We will act not good because you concern yourself with your own country and we will concern ourselves with our country. Okay, right. Then he goes on to say, also, I will be cutting off. Oh, hi, I see someone watching me. I don't understand. I don't know what language you're speaking. I think that's Malay, right? I don't really understand Malay. I live in Malaysia, but I don't speak Malay. Okay, then it says here. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa. Yes, I am totally for that. And the reason for that is, why should we be accepting foreign funds to care for our people? We should be using our own funds to care for our own people. Because when you accept funds from a foreign country, you owe them something. You are beholden to them. And especially if it's a country like the USA, they will have you under their thumb. We don't want that. Well, I don't want that. The other thing is, why are we beggars? Why should we be beggars? I thought we were done with the white man controlling us. But by taking their funds, aren't we just doing the same thing? We're still allowing them to control us. So this is where I feel the government is really lacking. They've been in power for what, 30 years, and still no, we don't have enough funds to care for our own people. What's that? And on top of it, this funds that the US is providing, the only funds they provide for us is free AIDS medication. And it is mainly for our sex workers, and I think the LGBTQAI plus alphabet community, something like that. I read it somewhere. There was a third one, but I can't remember. So in a way, I understand, because I know how Trump feels about prostitution and about the alphabet community. So it makes sense to me that he would say he's going to cut funding, because I'm sure if it was for diabetes or for children's issues, polio or something, I'm sure he wouldn't even talk about this. But I already can see why he would be doing this. So that I can understand. Not saying I agree, but I can understand. But I agree fully with him that he should stop USAID. He should stop it. Because it is not right that taxpayers from another country must pay for the welfare of people of another country. If taxpayers are paying in the USA, that money should be used to help them, to care for them. And the US has a lot of problems, a lot of issues. I sometimes think they have more issues than us. They've got mass shootings and terrorism and woke virus and all this kind of stuff. Fortunately, we don't have that. We don't have that. They have so many wars that they are fighting. They are always at war. So they need a lot of money to help their people. They're busy giving billions to other countries when that billions can be used for their own people. Why should they be giving it to us? We should be paying our own taxes so that our government can use those taxes to help our own people. But the problem here is twofold. First one is our government is corrupt. Even the money that is coming from the US, I bet you most of that money they are pocketing. It's getting pocketed. It's not going to the people. And maybe this is also why Trump is stopping the aid because he also knows that money is not going to the people. So that's one issue that I have, is that the government is probably pocketing the money. The other issue I have is with the actual people, because what is happening is there are not enough people paying their taxes. If you are working, you have to pay tax. People don't pay tax. So if you don't pay tax, there's not enough money to care for the citizens, because it goes around. So it's twofold. So we as citizens, we also have to take responsibility. Like me, for one, I'm living in a different country. I'm still South African. I should try to contribute to the country financially. So even if I'm out overseas and I'm working, I should still pay my taxes in South Africa. I see how the expats here are complaining that they have to pay taxes. You pay your tax because you're a citizen. If you want to be a citizen, you must play your part. And I'm not talking about people who don't work, because if you don't work, you're unemployed because there's no job for you. That's a different story. I get you. But those people who do work, pay your taxes, because I know many of them don't. So that's the two things. Again, when he says full investigation, I don't think he's just talking about, well, I know he's not just talking about the land thing. He's also talking about investigating this, where aid comes in from the US, but where does the money go? Where does the money go? That has to be investigated, because we know our government is very corrupt. We know that. So yes, it has to be investigated. So me, I'm happy that Trump is doing this. I'm very happy, because that means our government has to be held accountable. They have to show the receipts, which is something they have never been asked to do. Or maybe they've been asked, but because, there's no pressure, so they don't really care. But like I said, on the other hand, I also don't agree that outside countries must interfere in our internal affairs. We have to sort it out ourselves. We are the ones that have to keep our government accountable, because we elected them. We voted for them. And they work for us. That's how it works. But I guess it's because as South Africans, our constitution is, I always say this, it's just too sophisticated for us. We are not ready for a democracy. We don't know how it works. We still need a dictator. We need a benevolent dictator. But we need somebody who can take us and drag us kicking and screaming into a democracy. Because I can see very unsophisticated. I've got so many South African friends. How many of them talk about this? Maybe 3. Everybody's too busy eating the Niza or lying from corner to corner. But then I guess not everybody is probably concerned about things like this, because maybe it doesn't affect you personally. But some people are happy to just live from mouth to mouth, or to just complain, but they don't want to be active. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with apartheid. People will just complain, but there's no one willing to sacrifice and do something about it. So I'm doing this because this might, for sure I'll get criticized for what I'm saying. I might get ostracized. I'll get hate. I get all kind of things, but that's fine. When we were fighting the apartheid, I was happy to sacrifice my life, to speak things that I'm not supposed to speak in public. So that has not changed. I will still speak what I want to speak, and I don't care. You can criticize, ostracize, hate me. Your julle ding is them, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so yeah, anyway, so I just see, I don't know what this, maybe this person's Indonesian, that was watching and commenting. I don't know what he's saying, but it's probably, I'm sure it's off topic because normally that's how it works. But anyway, so yeah, that's all I have to say about this. And I hope for South Africa that we are not stupid. We keep an open mind, and I hope the best for the country. Okay, so cheers and have a good day.